All right, we are live with 2019's first Lucidicast. I'm here with Jamaica Stevens. Hi, I'm Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham. If this is your first time tuning into a Lucidicast, welcome. I think this is our third year doing it, so thanks for kicking us off this season, Jamaica. Can you hear me?
I can, and I'm super excited. I didn't know I was the first one out of the gate.
Yeah, you sure are. Um, Someone just said that we got 111 days and 23 hours to go until we open the gates. So it's the perfect time to
Perfect.
start. Feel free if you're tuning in now. It's 4 o'clock on Friday. If you've got questions that come up, feel free to throw them in there, and we'll keep an eye on that as people start participating. Um, so just to sort of set the table for us today, um, Jamaica, we're going to be talking a little bit about Lucid University and what that program is, and an important scholarship deadline that we've got coming up. Your chance, if you're out there and wondering how you can participate and maybe don't have the funds to take on an opportunity like this, we'll be talking a little bit about how you can participate in that. We'll talk a little bit about what this year's offerings are. Then we'll talk a little bit about the universe and universities and everything that is good. So, Jamaica, we've known each other for a little while now.
Yeah, it's been a few years, Wolf Bear.
My first memory of you is at Gratifly Festival in South Carolina in 2014. Um,
Yeah.
how have you been since then?
You're so great. What a way to start. Well, first of all, happy solstice and full moon. We have a full moon coming into Cancer, and it feels like really potent timing to be just sparking the dream space of the Lucid University and Lucidity Festival for next year. How have I been since you and I met, Wolfie? Oh boy. I have been just like in a constant iterative process of stripping away these layers of identity that I'm sure I spent a long time building and really learning how to like what it means to be a regenerative human, like someone who's constantly re-evolving and reconsidering and following a rhythmic cycle of death and rebirth. I have so many versions of myself and my perspectives and my like who I am and what I think I'm doing. So many of those have happened in the 4 years since Gratify that I'm just like, yeah, like so much happened in that time frame that was really transformative to just who I am as a person, what I'm here to give in the world, and my perspective about the world. And, um, hey, I'm good, right? Like here I am again, and going through yet another cycle of releasing this last year to turn towards the year that's coming. So, yeah, I
Awesome.
had another child, which was giant. I have a 9-month-old baby girl and a 15-year-old teenager, and just bought a house out here on the beautiful Sandy River outside of Portland, Oregon. And yeah, just transforming and changing how to be in service, but with the core of service as a value that I stand by, being deeply entrenched, and education being a passion that doesn't go away. In all of that transition and change and new ideas and what's my purpose, what stays consistent is that I know I'm here to help create immersive and educational and transformational experiences to invite people to have their reiterative, you know, revitalizing, regenerative life experience too.
Awesome. Now, I'd be remiss if I believe interview 101 is that I'm supposed to introduce the guest in some way, shape, or form to tell everyone who we're dealing with
What
here.
woman?
Jamaica's hard to introduce, but I'll try, and you can add any other adjectives once they come to mind, or once I get through the ones that come to mind for me. Jamaica Stevens is a a creator of cultural connections. She's an educator, an editor of the Re-inhabiting the Village compendium, of which many amazing articles are published. Uh,
including yours.
yeah, she's a project leader. She's a facilitator, a group facilitator, um, a carrier of medicine and knowledge and wisdom. She's exactly who you want in any kind of emergency, physical or emotional. She's been deeply involved in the Lucidity family since its very birth. In fact, when I describe Jamaica, the idea of birth is deeply rooted in her essence. I think Jamaica is the first person I ever heard correct someone uh, or offer an alternative to the phrase "killing it" and say, "No, you're birthing it." So, any other important adjectives in there?
Oh gosh, friend. No, that's humbling and sweet and makes me giggle. Yeah, that's a lot of what I do in a nutshell. That's true.
Cool, awesome. So, let's jump right into one of the many, many projects you've been involved in, which is Lucid University. Can you
Mhm.
tell us about your experience with this project and where you see it today?
Yeah, well, Lucid University is this emergent entity that really came from the idea that when we really at the origin of Lucidity Festival, education and community and upliftment were all a very core and important element. And so, the workshop programming that lots of festivals have started to transform into those of us who were working at the festival feeling like we wanted to do something more than just provide some talking workshops during the festival as this adjacent to the music and the warmth and the party and the play. We really wanted to center and focalize education and leveraging this opportunity of the juice and the vivacity of the festival environment to really inspire people and connect them to their purpose and their passion, to like awaken the potential in them, and to have our workshop programming really start to sort of grow beyond the model that I think it had kind of been in some of the earlier times of transformational festivals. And so we started, the first thing that we did was back, I guess, in 2000, and I almost want to say 13 or 14. I don't remember this point. It's been so long. So part of my dates. But essentially, Allison Hensley and Ryan Rising and I and a few other people had the idea to do the first permaculture action week connected to the festival. And so we kind of coined that which then became a thing that Ryan continued to take to other festivals. The Permaculture Action Network hosted this really cool interactive sort of learning experience focused on permaculture, and it happened leading up to the festival. And it was so successful, both from a way of participation, but also the way that we as producers felt about the program and its benefits, that we realized the next year we wanted to expand that idea and offer our first official course week. That one had 5 tracks. At that time, our tracks of learning we developed were creative works and community works, ecology works, creative works, spirit works. The next following year, we added innovation works to make the 6 tracks of learning. But that experience of really like taking the beauty of what had happened during the first permaculture action week and growing it to these different spectrums of learning and bringing in 6 awesome instructors plus their assistants. It was just such a powerful imprint of, yes, we want to create this kind of inspiring, educational, interactive experience to join what we do during the festival, to like elongate that experience for our participants and give them something else to plug into that had depth and meaning that then they could kind of celebrate and carry into the festival itself. And now we've been doing that for, gosh, I still don't remember. I think this would be our 4th official course week on top of the original one.
Yeah, it's really it's a differentiator. There's a lot of festivals out there, and well, less and less. this year, it seems.
Mm.
And for a while, the struggle for a lot of festival producers and event producers is to boil down to your purpose and boil down to your meaning and define what it is that you stand for,
Mm.
because you can say what you stand for, you can write a lot of words about what you stand for, but this program really was the doing, the action step, the ability to like really engage with um, this goal, and it wasn't just an idea or something on paper. Um, so just to like go down to sort of like the basics, uh,
Mhm.
what what is Lucid University? How long does it run? When does it run?
Yeah.
What does a day or the what does the whole span of it feel like day to day?
Yeah, well, so let's talk about the fact that there's Lucid University, a year-round program, and then there's the course week, which is happening, and Lucid University is what we call our workshop and educational programming. So the course week part of Lucid University this year is going to run essentially the week following, or I'm sorry, the week right up until the festival. And so I believe we start on the 9th, and then we have 4 full days of classes on the 10th, 11th, and then the 12th. And so on the 9th, it's arrival. It's like coming to camp. That's like the way that people have likened it. You arrive and the festival's still being built, and you come in, and there's all spectrum of people. There's people in their 60s. There's people who are like freshly 18, who this is like the first time they've gone to any festival or experience like this. There's moms with kids. There's, everybody in between. People come from all over the country and all fly in. And so that first day is really this like kind of like arriving at camp. There's a little bit of nervousness and excitement, and you get set up and everything's still kind of being built, and you get to kind of feel like, wow, I'm here, part of something. And then we really start classes the next morning. There is going to be this year a really cool experience where we've had Dave Zaboski is, I like to call him the maestro. He is our Art Temple resident instructor. He's been for every course week there and a longtime collaborator of Lucidity Festival. And so in the mornings, Dave and I are going to lead a whole group session so that all the students come together in the morning and have the opportunity to all be a part of the same mythos, right? We're all having this journey together. And so it's not only about the particular course or track that has been picked by a student who wants to take a class. It's also about the creating a holistic experience in a very short amount of time, that you're like a part of this journey. And then essentially people will go into their various courses and tracks and have deep dive experiences with their course instructor. We'll have lunches and dinners together and breakfast together. And then in the evening time, after class wraps for the day, there's what we call the elective sessions. And that's where we have guest teachers come in and offer, optional, but people usually take them up on it, optional extra course material that they get to take with the different instructors. Sometimes it's with Dave. Last year we had Lucid Dreaming with Jonah Haas, one of the founders. I'm not going to tell everybody what we're up to this year, but just that in the evening there's this awesome programming. And we do that all the way through Friday, when essentially we have the kind of wrap of this experience. We graduate people. They get a certificate of completion and some other wonderful things, which you have to come show up to find out what we do at graduation. And then we release those students into the festival. And I want to talk about what our course tracks are this year. But first, I just want to say that this experience is sort of like, it's fast in a lot of ways, but the depth that our students go to, the way that they end up connecting with other students and with our staff, the way that they really show up fully and engage with their instructors creates this like very alive, joyful, deep, and profound experience that then by the time that festival participants start arriving on Thursday and Friday, there's already this energy and hum of life at the center of Lucid City, where we have the Lucid University campus, where people are there saying, I'm here to grow and experience and participate. And they do that. They just come full on. And people who maybe were shy in the beginning, you watch them like wake up and come alive and make friends and creatively explore. And it's just it feels like family is quickly created, and then that's sort of blown like the spark of a fire that's blown into the sacred fire that then ignites what happens during Lucidity Festival on the weekend.
Yeah, I remember during one of Dave Zabowski's first sort of missions last year, there was a lot of going out and seeding the festival. So creating art in certain quadrants and just creating the container. So, there's only about 3 or 4 days on site that the staff and crew are there before the Lucid University students arrive. They're there about 3 or 4 days before everyone else arrives. And so Lucidity is built very quickly. Some other festivals have, a few weeks of on-site time. Lucidity goes up in about 4 or 5 days. So you get it at a very raw stage, very raw physically and spiritually. And so there's a real chance to set the stage for what that year is going to look like. So it is really participatory in a way that mm, doesn't. It's not just a consumer experience. Okay, I'm going to buy this course like the master classes. Okay, I'm going to watch these videos. No, it's fully hands on and engaging,
Mhm.
and everyone else, the rest of the festival, you're going to see the results of your work playing out in different ways. Oh, I made that, or oh, I learned from that instructor, and now we're friends. So great. I think if you would walk us through a little bit of what's going to be offered this year, I have. If you probably can't see it. Other hand, down over here we have a little slideshow going on the live stream of the different course instructors and what their course is. It's a little small, so as Jamaica talks about it, you'll be able to associate which program she's talking about with the face and the colors. There's like a color for every single one of them. So yeah, would you talk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing too. Like the this experience definitely helps co-create and make alive what we do in like the build. Like the magic comes alive as people start to arrive on site and start to play within the environment we're building. And I love that it's really participatory and co-creative when our students arrive. Not that you can go and build everything, but just saying that you feed the inspiration for the people working so hard to build the environment, because we start to make it come alive and create magic. So the magic making this year we're going to be playing with, we have our 6 tracks of learning are condensed into 4 offerings. So for our creative works, that's going to have Dave Zabowski and the Art Temple crew offering 2 things. One, for returning students who've come before, they can do a self-study where basically Art Temple is open and the Art Temple crew are available as mentors for students who want to work on their artistic projects and want that mentorship and time and experience of coming back and being a part of Course Week, but also having sort of a self-study with mentorship. And also, people can opt in for the Creative Works course if they would like to sort of have like it's not exactly open studio, because although you will have mixed media art experiences with the different art temple crew, they have different gifts that they bring. Dave also does an amazing job of really sort of harnessing that energy and cultivating experiences that take you on a mythic personal journey. So the whole point of coming for the Creative Works tracks, whether you're coming as a returning student or a new student, is to awaken your creative potential. And there's a whole lot of different ways that there will be offerings during the Creative Works track to explore and maybe even get out of comfort zone. Maybe you think you're coming to do some sketch drawing and you find yourself in a silent meditation creating physical art with found objects in the environment. Or maybe you're here to do something. It's part of, like, I don't want to give away all the things, because part of it is also there's a magic that happens with what Dave does, but essentially he's here to inspire your creative passion. So that's the Creative Works course, and it's a mixed media art. And then we have with James, we're going to be doing, or Jackal, we have our bodyworks class essentially, and it's somatic movement and embodied freedom. And essentially, James and Bella are going to be guiding students from the foundation and base of yoga and yogic practices. They're also going to explore how to engage personal embodiment and a feeling of freedom and movement and vivacity through things like contact dance, and through different body movement sessions, different kinds of movement and engagement. So he'll be leading you on a journey to really like decide you want to invest in your body, and you want to find out how you can empower yourself through aligning with your physical body and through other practices that he's going to bring in to the somatic movement and embodied freedom course. So that one is Bodyworks. And then we have Priya offering our combo of the Creative Works and Spirit Works track. And her course essentially is creating harmonic culture. And the beauty of Priya is that she has a background in singing. She's an amazing vocalist. She also has a background in community building and facilitation
and
and
and legal
communication
and legal mediation as well.
and legal mediation.
Yeah.
We served on council for tribal convergence for years, and she is a phenom at holding space. Although this course isn't exactly focused on conflict, the idea of how do we navigate uh, conflict or tension both in our personal being and in our interpersonal relationships, in order to really bring our full voice. How do we not only bring like the idea of our voice as an act of creative beauty, but how do we bring our voice as an act of power and connection? And how do we create community and advocate for people and create better understanding between people, and also find our own personal voice and our personal power through voice. So she'll be doing that track that covers our spirit and community works. And then we have Penny Livingston Stark. She'll be doing the eco literacy and earth arts, and that's spanning our ecology works and our innovation works course. And why we're doing both with that is because she's going to bring some making arts in. I love the fact that innovation is not only about like our forward thinking tech new emergence, but it's actually also about a return to being innovative humans and capable of making and using our hands and found experience of the natural environment to make and to create. And so she'll be doing some things with herbalism. She'll be doing eco-literacy in terms of our relationship and connection to place and to our greater environment and also the place that we're going to be connecting. So right there at Live Oak. She's got an incredibly long background. She's definitely like a mentor elder who's been in the permaculture and community genre for a very long time, innovating and creating a lot of really amazing schools of thought around our connection to Earth. So for her to bring her wisdom and her gifts to really reawaken our sense of connection to place and reintegration as symbiotic, beneficial creators on planet Earth. So she'll be doing a bunch of stuff throughout there, basically just to ground us back in and reconnect with place and making.
Beautiful. I've got I went ahead and went full screen with this slideshow real quick so people can see the beautiful faces and the beautiful intentions built with all of these
Yay.
courses. So just let that cycle for a minute. Um,
Yeah.
I I know this is a phrase that's been used before. I know you didn't coin it, but when we were talking, this is probably last year, maybe 2 years ago. Um, you described Lucid University to me as mystery school.
That's probably relevant.
What what did
Well,
what did you mean by that? What did you
well,
mean by mystery
okay.
school?
So I feel like a great transition both happening and really vital and necessary for the world that is emerging and the world that is coming is to sort of get out of institutionalization. And I'm not saying institutionalized education is a bad thing. Institutional education provides a lot of opportunities for people to grow and become and learn skills and be able to function in the world. And I'll say for Western culture, I would say the institution of education has sort of limited people to can you produce something to be a part of an economic system? You know, do you provide value because we taught you enough skills to be able to essentially like get on board with the program and participate in our economic system? And I would say that if you look at a whole being and a holistic approach, it's not even about educating, it's about um, how do we spark and inspire lifelong learning? How do we take someone from cradle to grave and create the opportunity for their natural and inherent genius to be revealed? How do we have the conditions for all humans to realize our deepest potential and to connect with our greatest passion? Because those kinds of humans in the world are going to contribute so much more to society. And we are just at such a precipice and crossroads as humanity to the way that we've done things is has served a purpose and is antiquated to the fast paced changes that are upon us. And I feel like inspiring and evoking people's sense of lifelong learning and ability to adapt and be resilient, to be creative, to have critical thinking, to follow purpose and passion, and set that at the center of why we educate and how we educate, that to me is going to create the kind of human that's going to be able to adapt for the world that's coming. And so part of it is capturing people young, right? And the foundation of their experience of learning to be a positive one where we celebrate their unique learning style and their creative potential and give them the tools and skills and mentorship to realize that potential. And our program right now tailors to people who are maybe in that middle time. Maybe they've already had their, initial learning experience, or they're coming into a later time in their life. And rather than see like, well, that was when I was educated back then, and now my creative potential ends, or my ability to learn or change or grow somehow ends because you've, completed your college years. The idea is to create an educational program and a learning program that inspires wherever you are. What is it that's going to awaken that creative genius and that inherent potential within you? What's going to allow you to maybe shed the foundation you had if it was one that didn't awaken that, so that you can actually discover what else you might do and be and create and give and share with the world? Or maybe it's to bolster the fact that you've had that experience and now you want to go further. You go, well, where, now that I'm out of school, where do I go to learn? Where do I go to continue to grow as a human so that I can contribute and be in service to the world? And that's that's the inspiration for why we wanted to create a program where we look at everyone's different capacities to learn and their different learning styles, and we create an immersive environment that allows for everybody to participate. And it isn't sort of like only if you're really good at textbook reading, or only if you're really good at this can you learn something. It's like, let's be dynamic and agile and give you an experience to play with your learning style and dive into a topic that you want to learn more about through these shorter programs, which then extend because we do have year-long programming that happens beyond the festival.
Great, excellent. I don't know if you know this about me, but I work at a university now. Um, so it's been really interesting to go back into that environment and see, what's working, what's not working. It is a
Mm-hmm.
powerful environment, and of all the places that I've worked, it's really great being surrounded by students.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's something that happens as a student. Um, I don't think it's just among young students, but there's a certain optimism and a certain activism and belief that through
Mm-hmm.
education, through these experiences, you're changing the world, or you're capable of changing the world. Uh, can you speak to the sense of empowerment that
Mm-hmm.
education provides?
Yeah, well, again, I want to say that my philosophy is both and, yes, and. So I feel like there are some incredible opportunities to learn and a lot of universities that are very progressive and that really give students the space to become experts in something that's meaningful and relevant to them. And I feel like there's more than just being able to retain facts. And oh, there's a blue heron. I live on a river, by the way, and there's a beautiful blue heron that's just streaming along the river right now. More than being able to just like hold on to facts and knowledge and have an expertise, I feel like, again, coming back to it's about addressing a holistic person, and it's about how we access different kinds of experiences. It's not only the mental realm, it's the physical realm. It's your physical body being agile and creative and expressive and engaged and embodied, and it's also your heart. It's about the love of what you do and the passion. I think often what happens for people who have that spark and fire in their younger years, that passion of youth, it will, like, if not stoked regularly, I think that's when people fade into that sort of, older time, being like, well, that was then, and I gave up on my dreams, and and I think to become a regenerative human, it's vital to keep stoking the flame of our heart, to assume that we actually don't know everything, and that we actually haven't reached a limitation of our capacity to learn and grow. That even if we are an expert, like say we leave with a degree in a traditional university setting, doesn't mean that there's not still more emergent information and topics to explore to keep us fresh and agile and creating. Like, to me, the regenerative human is not just an idea. It's an ongoing act of kind of what I said at the beginning of this broadcast: reinventing yourself, recreating yourself, rediscovering yourself, discovering the world from a new set of eyes and a new perspective, right? And I think that, again, I almost want to replace education with learning. Is to be a lifelong learner, is to continue to spark your curiosity and your creativity. And that, to me, is why you see people who are in their elder years full of joy and vivacity, because they stayed curious, because they don't assume that they've known everything or that they've somehow completed their education and now they're just adults in the world. I think that's when we lose that spark of hope and connection to how life's always recreating and regenerating, and we're a part of that. So I feel like, yeah, learning is an essential, fundamental part of human well-being. I think we get stagnant and stuck if we don't keep growing and learning and exploring and discovering. So our aim is to kind of be a continuing ed program, or a first time somebody wants to explore something that maybe they haven't ever considered. Maybe they haven't ever, checked out an experience of really getting in touch with their body. Maybe, they haven't really done yoga or, ecstatic dance or movement or contact improv. Maybe they haven't had that opportunity to be in a safe environment to discover and explore. And so James and Bella are an incredibly safe, nurturing space to really go on a personal and communal journey of what it means to be embodied. Or maybe someone doesn't know how to use their voice. Maybe someone hasn't shared their truth or their gifts. Maybe someone is afraid to speak or doesn't know how to convey or communicate what's happening inside of them. How do we, elicit that sense of purpose and power by activating your voice and being able to connect as a community? Priya's track is going to give people an opportunity to explore that. I feel like Penny, we do an eco track every year, and it's always a little different. But what I love about her, and I know her as a personal friend, is that she brings such an approachable, fun, playful way to engage something that is just, to me, one of the most important fundamental things that humans need right now, which is a reconnection with the earth. It is like, let's joyfully, and with that curiosity, because she's, coming kind of into her elder years, she holds to me that regenerative human quality. So to take a class with her is to let yourself explore your own connection with nature and your own connection with the world and your own connection with the sense of making and relating to plants and place and environment from a place that's super approachable. Like, it's not necessarily overly heady, which sometimes permaculture stuff can be a little bit like, oh, but I don't really know enough about it to engage. I feel like the way that Penny brings it is like, everybody is welcome to come and discover a deep and profound connection with nature and with your creative experience of playing with and co-creating with nature. And then I feel like Dave, anybody is welcome. Dave and his Art Temple crew are so, um, and Wolfie, they're like so like full on yes to you can and are. You can create and you are a creator. So how do we give you the conditions to spark that flame? And maybe there's people who haven't explored that before. They've never taken an art class or, played with how they could, you know, have a creative expression. So I feel like our programs this year are really meant to be like, look, if you want to go deeper in something you've already been studying, here's a really creative, cool way to engage amazing people in their field of knowledge. And if you're new and this is kind of scary or different for you, it's such a welcoming and nurturing environment to come and participate in, something that maybe sparks that desire to want to keep learning, your curiosity.
Beautiful.
It is.
I wrote an article, I don't remember, last year sometime, and it was more or less titled that VIP experiences are killing festivals.
Mm,
I saw there was, I think it was Firefly, not our friendly, lovely Firefly Festival in Flagstaff, but Firefly back east was offering some kind of a VIP, be a photographer for a day experience. I don't remember. There was just a whole series of VIP experiences that kept getting offered by these festivals that were these add-ons that were really status based.
mm,
You're doing this for visibility, for the wristband. Listen, I love a good VIP like hosted
yeah.
bar, and like I'm not,
Who doesn't?
yeah, and I'm down for that. Um, but the question that I think this answers is, what does it mean to have an add-on for a festival that's iterative, that brings you closer together? I think if we've had a lot of people that bought their Lucid University pass, course week pass, uh, for to coincide with their first lucidity. They were like, I've seen this festival or like checked it out and it looked cool, but like I don't know anybody and I don't really know like what my purpose is going to be there, because it does help to have a purpose, and it's nice to have some
Yeah.
friends to go with, especially if it's your first time. So highly recommend this program for anyone that is a first timer to lucidity, that maybe is a little burnt out on festivals and like it's kind of like, well, I like the people and I like the music, but it's just, what am I even doing with it anymore? Hear
Yeah.
that, feel that, and like, Lucidity does skew slightly older of a crowd, um, 20s, 30s, 40s, parents and families. If you didn't hear out there, Lucidity Festival just won, like, what is it, the best family festival from X Live, and the
Yeah.
Festival X Awards. So that's an awesome honor. Anyone that's been to Lucidity knows that it's like well earned, that it's such a family environment. Um,
Yeah.
that you can still get wild, you can still have a great time, but having all these kids running around just like elevates everyone's level, reminds you what you're doing it for. Um, there's this clip from year one's Lucidity. There's a video someone made, and there's this couple, they're getting interviewed, and they've got like like not even a toddler, like an infant with them, and they're like, how is it being here with this like newborn baby? And they're like, it's amazing, like she slept amazing, we like cuddled with her in our sleeping bag last night. um
Mhm.
so I mean, it goes all the way back to year one, all that goodness.
Yeah, lucidity to me is family. And I have done event production and even globally, like all over the place for 8 years and grew a family of people who kind of did the festival circuit. We were at a lot of the same events and producing a lot of the same events. And as my life changed and I realized that I wanted to reground and refocus my family, and especially now having my own 9 month old who she will be there. Mama's going to be working at the festival and Babe's going to be right along with me. And my teenager has come in years past. She may come this year. But one thing that has kept me continuing to work with and create with this particular festival is that it is family. And that not just family like with little kids, but family as in we come together to hold space for the human family, to have a confluence and a convergence, an opportunity to come remember why we do what we do, to come re-inspire those places that get exhausted and tired by holding up the great purpose of the world right now, and come to reconnect and remember that we are woven into something greater than our own personal journey and our own personal story. We are a part of something. And I know that sometimes with festivals, that exclusivity can be like, well, you feel that way because you're inside the bubble of a feeling of inclusivity. And so it's like, yeah, this is your family and you're all connected. Meanwhile, a lot of people that come feel excluded from that. They don't know how to connect, or they aren't there with their homies and their friends. And what we've done at Lucidity is really endeavor at every point to be like, no, you're actually welcome here. Like, it's not difficult to make friends here. There's so much surface area to play and engage. And I just feel like from the producers, because if you're a producer and you're holding this kind of container, we embody it as a group of people who love each other and work together and choose year after year to keep working together to grow what Lucidity is, and let ourselves learn from past mistakes and past experiences to keep growing it into a a really special container and environment that is meant to be this spark of inspiration and connection for a lot of people. In fact, this year and the last few years, I would say actually every year, we have really worked hard and totally missed the mark sometimes, but really endeavored to actually be inclusive. Like, what does that mean? To be a place where everybody feels welcome and invited. We've worked really hard to learn from our elders, to learn from our mistakes, to learn from local indigenous and have a good relationship with people of place, to learn from the feedback of both our staff and our participants about how we can continue to improve the experience for people to feel welcome. We're definitely feeling the kind of where we could even be more inclusive, and where we can grow in a feeling that all sorts of different parts of culture feel like, oh yeah, I see myself there. Like, I'm represented inside of this experience as well. I'm welcome here, and there's a place for me at this table, this playground. Like, I have a space that I belong. And that's a big part of what we do, and why we have the villages is there's sort of like the different flavors that you can kind of go and choose your own adventure. You can go find what lights you up, and I feel like easily connect with other people who are also lit up by that experience. And so you don't have to have it's only this and this is why you come. It's like, well, it's this and this and this and this. And so, your participation, like people arriving and coming and playing, there's a lot of surface area to participate. And I think that helps people feel like they belong. And that's why I think Course Week, you're right, is a really great experience for people who are like, either A, daunted by coming to the festival because they don't know anybody. Oh my gosh, it's so cute to watch. I feel like my students are like, they're kind of like my kids too. I put them all under my wing, even if they're like 60. I just am like, I'm really passionate about creating an experience where people feel like joyful and included. And I think that when people come to Course Week, they end up leaving with totally new friends that they then year after year want to come back so they can be with their friends again or connect year round. And it's also, I think, and I'll put myself in that category, for people who have been entrenched in festivals for a long time and are feeling like, you totally named it, like, what am I still doing with this? For me, the reason that I continue to do Lucid University and Course Week is because of Lucidity's commitment to continuing to grow and continuing to learn and continuing to expand how we approach what we do to be more inclusive, more meaningful, more purposeful, and then spark that year-round engagement. Lucidity doesn't just happen once a year. It's constantly doing work in Santa Barbara in the local community. There's things we do through the Lucid University LLC where we do year-round programming, like we have a collaboration with Heartland, which is up in Grass Valley. We do work up here in Oregon. So I feel like the purpose part of it for people who are like, burn out on the festivals is like, come and actually connect and learn and grow and discover and have a different kind of festival experience. It's a little bit more grounded and a little more centered in like, how do you leverage all this awesome to go grow yourself and give your gift into the world. It's not just like party your ass off, which is awesome too. And that happens. But if the kind of person who wants to come to this experience is somebody who's really like, I want to feel inspired again. I want to like go to a festival and feel healthy. I want to feel like I slept well, and I want to feel like I danced my ass off. I learned things, I made great friends, I participated in something, and when I left, I felt nourished and I felt full and I felt ready to go back out into the world and keep plugging away at, contributing in a good way.
Awesome. So just a reminder, if you go onto the comments for this thread, there's a pinned comment. You can apply for a scholarship to this program. We extended the scholarship deadline until tomorrow, just because I knew we were going to have this awesome conversation and really open your eyes to what Lucid University can be. Um, got about 15 minutes left, and
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question. So I just have always assumed that you've always been like the Jamaica Stevens I know, this incredible human being, incredible creator. So I assume that you've been like that your entire life, but
Hmm.
maybe not. I don't know. I'm curious about, I don't know much at all about Jamaica Stevens' origin story. Can you tell us a little bit about baby Jamaica and how she became current Jamaica?
Well, what's so fun, right, is that right now I'm sitting in my parents' house, overlooking a place called the Sandy River in Portland, Oregon, right outside, right next to the Columbia Gorge for anybody who knows the area. And we just bought a house that's just up the hill from my parents. Um, and so I was born and raised in the mud and the dirt and the cedar trees and the ferns, fishing with my dad on the banks of this river right here, which is a tributary of the Columbia River. I've lived all over this area of Portland, and grew up um, with a love of nature. Is one of my first memories is playing outside and with my dad and my cousins and my siblings. I'm the oldest of lots of kids. I have two sisters and two brothers, and my parents are divorced, so I have split family. There was lots of conflict as well as a lot of joy and beauty, and I think that that conflict early on, and also my love of nature and the natural world, really influenced who I became to be a peacemaker. Like the reason I'm a facilitator and have done a lot of work around community building and around facilitation and conflict resolution and communication has stemmed from having to go through conflict in my own life and learn how to be at peace, um, and even be a peacemaker. But actually, the older I get, I'm 41 now. My birthday's next month. Um, the older I get, the less of a peacemaker that I am, but spent a lot of my life being a peacemaker. And instead, I'm a just peace inhabitor, just like learning how to be at peace within myself and hold space that others can find their way to peace too. My mom was a teacher, and that was always sort of in the background of my experience as well. And so education and writing are things that I was doing very young. I remember doing school with my sister because I would watch her in the summers, and I'd be the teacher and she'd be the student, and I would like have these cool creative projects I'd make her do to like keep her entertained during the summer. Um, so I feel like there's threads of who I am now that are sort of always been a part of me. It's very tender and very feeling based, and really, um, really, yeah, like really wanted, like friendships were important to me. Do you know what I mean? Like that essence of like community and family and friendships is probably a lifelong journey from having a family that had been broken, and now I am in good standing with that family and have reconnected with that family. I feel like family more than ever to me, and community and place are are a root of who I am. And so I can look at the upbringing in Oregon, and I've gone away multiple times. I've traveled around the world and had these great big adventures and sort of opened myself to what community and family means globally. and now it's beautiful to be like harnessing all of those experiences of being like, I want to see the world, I want to know what's out there, I want to discover humanity, and feeling like I've wrapped like human family into my medicine bundle, like not just my family, but the idea of how do we, the core thesis, how do we make peace, reconnect, build family, and deepen roots in place and people of place. And through the Reinhabiting the Village project and the Tribal Convergence, um, years of doing those events, what came through all of that was that it was time to return back to those roots. So to be raising my children back on the river that I played on and collect that energy of being out in the world, discovering what it means to be a global family, and now rooting back down here in place to deepen the practices of becoming a human of place and standing by my word and my values, like the things that I believe in. I needed to start practicing more deeply in my own life for the sake of, hopefully in the future being able to come back out again into the world, my children being a little bit older, and share my knowledge and insight and support other people and other communities who are looking to deepen in place and to bring education and learning to the forefront of their work together, and learn how to be a family together. Like, what is that? The human family. That's my great. What am I here for? So I kind of took you to the whole spectrum. I took you to my future casting, but I think I've always been really keen on like, yeah, like how are we a family together? So that is, it's interspersed in all of my work.
Beautiful. Hang on one second. I'm gonna turn my light on.
I know it's getting dark here too. It's great watching the sunset. I know you told me not to do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There's the beautiful river. There it is out there. Hi, friends out there. It's nice to see some people jumping on. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. That's wonderful. I might be getting some feedback. Hang on one second.
Yeah. We still good?
All right, let's see if that's coming back at me. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Jamaica, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, let's see. Are we working? Yeah, I think so. Cool, excellent. Sorry for that. You know, that's the joy of
We're
being
live.
live. So, um, your video might be frozen, but I think I can
Oh,
still
I
hear
think
you.
I'm still here.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right. As long as the audio is still working, we're good. Um, cool. So, I think getting sort of towards our wrap up point. First of all,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be up in Portland for
Hey.
the holiday. I would love to see you.
Yeah, will you send me your details of when you're around?
Yeah, I'll send you the deets. I'm heading up there tomorrow night, and I'm there through like the 27th.
Oh,
So
perfect.
that would be rad. Also gotta throw a shout out. I know we were talking about all the family goodness that exists at Lucidity Festival. I got a shout out to the moms of Lucidity, of
Yeah,
which
this um,
gotta give mad love to them. They've got an awesome space that they build
it's
out.
actually like Lucida Moms is the producers' moms. All are so amazing and supportive that they come to the festival and then they decided that they needed to have their own like place that they just hold space for people. They're amazing. Like it's the level of family where it's multi-generational. I love that we have our moms at Lucidity.
Absolutely. And one special mom is tuned in right now. It is my mom. You know it. She loves this stuff. She says hi.
Hi, Mom. Yeah.
um, awesome. So, I think if we had another 3 hours to go on this, I'd want to dive more into festival culture, where it's going, what we're dealing with right now. But
Yeah.
I think in this year, I don't know, what's your quick pick? What's your quick take on sort of the state of the festival?
Well, to as people know, or if you don't, you should really check out our lucidityfestival.com page because it'll tell you the mythos that we've been creating. And that's a created emergent storyline that's been going from the very first year. We went through 6 year story arc and now we're coming through our second 6 year story arc. That is one of the things that makes this festival so unique is that it's not just the same experience every year. Every year we listen deeply and attune ourselves to what is the emerging myth and how are we through our festival experience giving people an opportunity to participate in and further that myth, that human narrative that's playing out in our greater global society. And so a lot of people thought we ended at year 6. What we did was we ended a very important cycle. And now we're in year 2 of that next cycle. Last year was sort of the rising dawn, like the reemergence from this initial cycle, right? This year is Moon's Eye View, and it's about perspective. It's about if we could pull back from that sort of solar experience of self and come back and look at the earth and take inventory and consider and reflect. It's perfect for a solstice Cancer full moon, right? It's a time of the more feminine, or I'll say yin, opportunity to say, where are we? Where am I? And how are we doing in our goal, in our potential? How, where are we failing and falling down? Where are we rising up? What's possible? And how do we kind of integrate the experience to be able to take another big leap? Because next year's, I don't want to give it away in case we haven't, but next year's is like, how do we put this into action? How do we take a moment to pause and consider and reflect so that we can harness the wisdom that's available to us before we go and out again into a yang experience and give that gift to the world? So this year feels like it's meant to nurture after some hard times people have had, and also to come into that sense of like, let me take inventory. Um, and so my hope is that people will come back for this festival, even if they've been coming for years, because I think we need it right now. I think the world is rough and that we desperately need the experience of coming together to feel connected and to have an opportunity to reflect and be inspired to keep going in the good work in the world.
Yes, I.
And we want to make that really accessible. So, yeah, the link that's underneath this broadcast is for a scholarship contest where we want to make at least 4 full free spots to come and also some partial spots, some discount spots available for people to come and have this experience because we want it to be accessible. We want it to be something that people don't feel like they can't engage. We want it to feel something, if someone's sparked and inspired and needs this medicine right now of community and connection and growth and inspiration, then we want to make sure you can be there. So do fill out the application so that we can try to lev you up with some access to come play with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell us your story. Uh, you know, Lucidity is co-created by its community. There is no single owner. We are not corporate. Live Nation does not own 49 or 51% of us, and 0% of us. And so the people that you meet, the people you talk to, are the people building this thing. And really, the only thing keeping you from building it, you, the mysterious you out there, is your own choice. So come co-create with us. Lucidity Festival is about rising and awakening in your dreams, discovering your inner story, aligning with your mission, finding your allies and your own hero's journey. So from me and from Jamaica Stevens, from Jonah Haas, from Alan and Ali and Amy and Allison. I'm not going to risk not mentioning everyone. So from everyone that has put years and years into this project, we
A lot of people.
definitely invite you deeply to experience Lucidity Festival, Lucidity Course Week. Check out the link. Jamaica, I've always wondered, are you named after the Jackson Brown song?
Yes, you know the song. Yeah, it's
Excellent.
Jamaica Say You Will. And nobody knows that song. It's very obscure, but it's from a Jackson Brown song called Jamaica Say You Will.
I just
My parents, They were the hippies. I was born in 78, so they got like the tail end of hippie before my siblings.
I knew it. Your dad always saw himself as a captain on the rolling seas, didn't he?
It's true. It's totally true. We were laying in the tall grass where the
Yeah.
shadows fell.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got it queued up to take us out, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. And thank you so much for joining us. Everyone else, feel free to, if you're watching this in the future, go ahead and ask your questions. We'll get back to you. And
Yeah. Come play with us. It's really fun. Come play. We're a good time.
cool. Well, we'll see you out.